and welcome to Series 4, can you believe it, of Cuppa Tea with the Vet. Make sure you get involved and make sure you start asking questions. I have got the wonderful Ian Stroud here today of Smart Vet. Hi, Ian.
Hello.
Get your cup up. Hi. It's so lovely to have you on here. I was most thrilled because when I first put the post out about this, there was already fan talk. I don't know if you saw, but somebody was like, Ian's the most loveliest vet in the whole planet. And I was like, oh my goodness me, that's so nice.
I didn't say that. I didn't see that at all. But I mean, I must stop posting on my timeline the whole time. So it's, but that's very kind of you.
Please introduce yourself.
Okay, well, I'm a small animal vet, and I've spent most of my time in southwest London. And I've got a family there with 3 kids who they're probably not children anymore. They're huge. They're taller than me. At least one of them is. And I've done a bit of work for various people. I did mixed practice even at the beginning of my career in North Yorkshire, but I've run my own practices now for perhaps 10-15 years, and that's what I get most enjoyment from, as well as doing the veterinary job. So I probably fall between 2 stools of being a good clinician and being a good manager. But I love to do both of those jobs, and I'm currently setting up a new practice in East Sheen.
That's absolutely amazing. And I mean, they're 2 very different heads as well there, aren't there? So I think I'm just quickly going to have to do something very unusual right now. I apologize to everybody because we've just had my very first technical hitch, and I don't do her technical. So that was a bit of a heart attack moment for me. I'm so sorry, Ian.
Was it me? No.
No, not with you at all. No, the stream didn't go live when it was supposed to. There was a weird technical thing. So I've just been clicking some buttons. So very quickly, I just wanted to make sure that I introduced you again properly. So for anybody who missed our introduction, this is our Series 4. Hello, everybody. I'm so sorry you missed that. I'm so chuffed to be here. And Ian Stroud is a wonderful vet who I spoke to this morning before he came on. And I've also had a load of compliments come through about him already. I'm so chuffed to hear that. So thank you, Ian of Smart Vet. So now we know who we're talking to. And I did manage to get us live throughout Ian's introduction there, but I think about halfway through. So Ian was just explaining that he's a manager as well as introducing his own brand new practice, which is really super exciting stuff. So if you can just briefly go over that again, just to make sure we don't miss anything. I'm so sorry.
I can make it better this time, or worse, or whatever. But yes, I'm a small animal vet. I live in southwest London. I'm opening a new practice. I've run practices and owned practices for the last 15 years, and it's I very much enjoy that side of things, as well as being a good clinician if I can. And yeah, I've got a family here in southwest London as well, which is so my spare time is pretty limited between those 2 things.
Amazing. Thank you. That was a great bio. And, so I am absolutely thrilled. I mean, it's really funny because obviously I'm based in Berkshire, so I'm not actually in London myself, but it's always nice to talk to somebody who is, actually relatively close and hop, skip and a jump, especially when you end up with people who obviously know me and you despite having a little distance. That's so weird, isn't it?
I know it's a really small industry, and the degrees of separation between people are tiny, and everyone, if everyone doesn't know you, they definitely know somebody who does know you. So yeah, it's not the only reason, but it's such an important reason to be a good person and an honest person and nice to everyone, because if you're not, it's gonna bite you on the arse very, 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 very quickly. So
I completely agree with you. Because yes, I firmly believe in karma. What comes around goes around, and yeah totally agree. How is it going setting up your new practice? Because that is not easy. And right at the smack of the beginning of COVID, I mean, come on, end of COVID, but well, feels like beginning again, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, I did have practices before, as I said, and we sold them to Lynette, great company, who've really looked after them since then, and they've gone from strength to strength. And COVID happened, and I was sitting in my garden getting a really nice suntan, but feeling at an absolute loss, because I didn't have a practice, I didn't have a job, I didn't have anything to do, and I had time to reflect about what you miss. So when you've got lots of time on your hands and things are a bit quieter, you can really sort of decide what's important outside of the family and your health and friends. It was running a lovely vet practice, which I missed, and so I decided in the peak of COVID to set up a practice. And obviously we were that was difficult. That was really difficult, and it continues to be difficult. And who knew that we would have a recruitment crisis at the end of, when I'm trying to set up, and you couldn't get cement, and building materials go up by 25%, and you can't even get builders. It feels like we've been battling headwinds the entire way. But the nice thing was we had the opportunity to think about what was really important in practice as well. So not only what was really important personally, but what was really important in practice. And I've always tried to run lovely practices where people can thrive and they can develop a career and be better. Have a generally a good time at work, or at least not too miserable. But there were obviously things I reflected upon from the last business, how I could do them better. And there was obviously there's some issues in the profession which are manifest through the huge problems with mental health and the attrition from business and stuff like this. So many of the problems facing people, I have no control over, and I don't think there are huge answers to those. I have no influence on the selection of vet graduates into universities, and I might have opinions, but it's an opinion, and I can't move the needle a bit. But what I can do is I can make my own little bit of the world as good as possible, and so we try to reflect on where the challenges were in practice, where when you're working, you feel your shoulders hunch, where you feel this is difficult and your brow furrows and you're just not enjoying your job so much. And we try to identify all of those for all the different areas in the practice, whether it's, on the telephones of reception, or dealing with complaints, or recruitment, or whatever it was. And we tried to find those areas that we could make better and have a good think about it. Now, I've yet to put my thoughts into action. so it's I'm in danger of talking a good talk and not following through. But
no, that's fine. I mean, what I was going to say is, you've just literally said about 100 issues there. So you're so aware. It's literally like listening to the Vet Voices forum. All there. It's all there. It's all the things that have come up so often. And we have discussed on this show many times mental health in veterinary, because it's a huge thing. And so it's really important that you have acknowledged those things. And I think you should give yourself a massive pat on the back for, saying out loud that you've acknowledged those things and that you're trying to do better, because it's one thing to acknowledge it, it's quite another to try to fix it. And like you say, you can only have an influence on your little world. But what I can say, it sounds like, is what a lucky set of nurses and vets that are going to be that come and work for you. because it sounds like they will be in a very unique position. Well, I don't know, unique probably a bit unfair, because there are lots of lovely, nice practices out there. But, you know, it will be wonderful that they will be able to be in one of the lovely practices, and hopefully less stressed, more listened to, able to sort of, you know, take the good bits, like you say, and flourish with them, rather than the hard bits that they're sort of focusing on. So yeah, that's really good. Honestly, I'm so thrilled.
And I'm very lucky. There's what we're trying to do seems to resonate, and I've got a few really great people who are wanting to get involved in what we're doing, and it's really exciting to be working with these fantastic people with their great ideas, their positive energy. And I think if we can get the culture right at the beginning, and we've got our ideas about where we want to go, and get the right people on board, then hopefully it will just stay like that, and it'll be a joy to go into work every day, or at least some days. And you know, I will become a curmudgeonly old fart. You know, it's guaranteed.
No, it doesn't have to be guaranteed. Don't say it out loud, or else that's where you're going to
go. You know, hopefully I hold off those days, you know, or those days a little longer, and try.
You're allowed to have intermittent grumpiness followed by chocolate biscuits. Okay, that's how it works.
I will take that on board.
Absolutely.
I'll write that into the into the practice handbook.
I absolutely agree, and all contracts can be the same. I'll let you have that one. So, are you going to remain an independent? Because obviously your other ones went to Linnaeus. Is this going to be?
I don't want to make any promises, because I can't predict the future. I'm really we're going to set up a scheme where staff can get some degree of ownership of the business. They can accumulate shares over time.
Like Waitrose.
Sorry, like
like
Gas and Waitrose and various other bits and pieces. So if we did decide that it was, you know, better for the family to sell in the future, then you know, hopefully other people who have helped me on that journey and put in the effort and sacrifice also share in the rewards. But selling the business was right three years ago, as was setting up my old practice with that set of values. What I'm setting up now is a different practice with a different set of values, which I think is important now. I mean, you know, my values haven't changed dramatically, but maybe the emphasis and what we talk about is a little bit different now.
That makes sense. Life's a journey, isn't it? So, you know, you do end up making changes, and your thoughts change, and your mind changes and stuff like that. That totally makes sense. Yeah,
I mean, there are some practices, or at least there's one, Penards, and they did this employee where all the employees seem to buy out the practice and have ownership of the practice, and that sounds really interesting, and a great potential for the future. But I wouldn't want to say what 10, 20, 30, 40 years in the future looks like, because
no one's going to hold you to it.
I can't even get through. I can't even get through, you know, thinking about tomorrow in all clarity. But I wouldn't exclude anything.
I'm just being nosy. No pressure. I feel like you've got a lot of pressure there from my answer. Don't panic. It's all good.
It's good. I'm happy to answer that. But I think it would be I think it's an important question. I think it's a question which somebody coming to work for an independent, if they like the idea of working for an independent and had a bad experience having worked for an independent and then being bought by a corporate who perhaps didn't look after them in the way they wanted to be looked after, would have. And so I think yeah, you're absolutely right to ask those questions.
And clients want to know as well. You know, it is something that they talk about. So, you know, it's just it's good to ask.
It's extraordinary, the number of customers who are aware of the of independent practices and non-independent practices, and how they believe that an independent practice might be better for them. I think an independent practice has some huge advantages, but it also carries some disadvantages. And having, I've spent time as a branch partner in Medivet. I've spent some time working with and for Linnaeus, and there's some real advantages there as well to being part of that group, and being part of a big unit of people who are all all your colleagues. It can be a bit more lonely as an independent, and a bit more.
It's a very big debate, isn't it? It definitely is a very big debate. But it was just nice to ask the question and see where your vibe was. And then I also want to add, Kyra has been very kind and jumped on here, and she has said, what a fantastic boss Ian is. We are big fans of his. So
hi Kyra, thank you so much. Kyra was a fantastic person to work with. I loved spending time with her.
Oh, lovely. Is she what staff member is she? Vet, nurse?
She practice manager. She's a practice.
Cool.
And she's a veterinary nurse, but so good with people. She's just and
I don't know how to take that. I'm going to say
no,
a veterinary nurse, but so good with people. But very good with people.
Yeah, okay. No, but clinically, no. Well, I suppose what I'm trying to say is she's got the clinical background, and she's got this amazing way with people, even very direct, very straight, because I love to say 1,000 words and not really get my point across quickly. As you may have seen when you said, yeah, so you can sell the practice, I would have been like, no, never. And that would have been it. So I could have been like, yeah, of course, yeah. If the money's
okay,
right.
I'll start to go like this. And
and you quite rightly were like, yeah, okay, I just asked a question, shut up, Ian. But Kyra's, just very different to me, but fantastic with people, and people loved and respected her with equal measure. So thanks, Kyra.
Lovely. That was a big up to you, Kyra, there as well. So, that was a big bit of love back. So well done you. And thank you for jumping on here. Most appreciated. If anybody has any questions, please do ask. It's lovely to hear. So, I'm hearing, Ian, that you really don't have much spare time. But what do you like to do in your spare time? Let's hear about you as a person.
So my spare time, I there's lots which I like to do, and it's hard to pin down. So there's not one thing. And we went on holiday last week, and I went on a bike ride, and I went on a couple of runs, and I went sailing, and I played tennis, and I went paddle boarding, and I went and socialized, and we went around some old ruins, and that was fantastic. And I did about 3 holidays in 1 week, and that was
exhausting.
That was amazing. And I came back sort of quite tired physically, but I felt utterly refreshed, and that sort of thing was good. So I do like sports. I like so sailing and rock climbing in particular. I'm not particularly talented at any of them, and in fact, I'm not particularly talented at any sport. But I love the sport. So I wish. I wish my skills matched my enthusiasm, but they don't at all.
I honestly think that's probably the case for most of us, but we all just get on with it anyway. You don't need to have skills that match the enthusiasm. The enthusiasm is key, right? So long as you're not aiming for the Olympics, that is all good. So I love that you're enthusiastic about it. So rock climbing and sailing are very different creatures, though. I mean, that's 2 very different things to be in love with.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, the sailing can be quite fun, and you can go racing, and you can, or you can sit on the back of a boat around the Greek islands, looking like the world's, an amazing place. So there's all sorts of different sailing, but it's quite fun. It feels like quite a sort of connected with nature. I think that's one of the great things. Just harnessing the wind and being utterly aware of your environment and the waves and the sea and the weather. I think it's quite like that. And then something like rock climbing. It's a very physical, engrossing thing where you don't have much. It's a challenge. It's a real challenge to get to the top. I like that goal. I like that challenge. I like pushing myself to go on harder and harder courses, and they're physical as well. So there's that physicality, but it's also completely engrossing as well. So you don't have time to think about that email that you've not answered, or
it's like meditation, isn't it? I always say that I do gymnastics, and I always say exactly the same thing. It's like when you're focused on that, you have to, because otherwise you'll fall, right? You can't fall. So you've got to focus only on that. And so until the end, and then you get to the end and fine, okay, you might be able to start thinking about the day, but actually 9 times out of 10, you've got so much adrenaline. That's it, you're done. So
you mentioned meditation. How's your, so do you practice a lot? Do you practice every day, or do you?
Oh, I would love to say yes. But it's a nightmare, isn't it? Meditation is a skill, and it takes a lot of self-discipline to make yourself do it. But I've definitely been there, definitely. And I try to meditate. I instill it in my child. I've made her. I do. I get her to do meditation. Ever since she was 2, I'd make her like sit in the garden in silence for a whole minute. If she made noise, I'd be like, shh, shh. And I'd do that. And then each year that she's grown up, she has to meditate for a minute for each year of her life. And she loves it. And she leads the meditation sometimes as well, which I find quite funny. But the point is, it's such an amazing skill, isn't it?
It is. And maybe getting into it when you're a child it will make it easy, because I do like it, and I like the concept, and I like potentially what it can do and what it does do, but it's really hard. It's really hard, A, to find the time, and B, I'm not very good at meditation either. So skiing and meditation, I'm an absolute disaster, but I
don't think you could put skiing and meditation together either. But
well,
good try.
it's things I would like to be better at. It can go in that bucket of things I would like to do more, and I would love to be better at.
That's fair enough. They do fit in that bucket together. I think that meditation, like I say, I think is a skill, and I never did it as a kid. It's much more something that I got into in the last sort of 10 years. And, and I wish I'd done it more. And I think it's so important. And yeah, my child is particularly good at it. So I'm not brilliant, obviously, but I definitely agree. I think it's something it's a skill. So, but these skills you can keep practicing at, including skiing. Just saying.
Yes.
I'm just going to put this speak quickly to MDH. I don't know. But I think probably I need to take this one on. There's 2 click parts here. So MD, thank you so much for watching, and so much for getting involved and asking this question. It's amazing that you're watching from California. I'm so impressed. You've said, may I ask a question that has weighed on my mind for the last year? I had a 15-year-old cat who passed while I was gone for only 2 hours. And when I returned home, she passed. There's a second point here, so I'll just hide that and put this back up. I'm sorry, it's not a pleasant topic. When I found her, her eyes were open and her mouth was also open and her tongue curled up. Did she suffer? My heart really needs to know. Thank you. I think it's absolutely brilliant that you've reached out, MD. And I think that, this is absolutely, I would never want anyone to be suffering and anybody to be upset. And particularly for all this time, I mean, goodness me, this has happened a year ago. You must be your heart must be bleeding to just be still thinking about it. Ian, obviously, if you want to take that on and answer, do feel free to. My thoughts were just, unfortunately, things happen. We can't necessarily know, specifically from such a small amount of information. But I would hope.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know your name either. So, but this sounds like a really, really terrible experience for you, and I'm so sorry. And Again, I don't know. I don't know enough about the, your cat, but 15 does sound too young to lose a companion. So I'm really sorry for that. But it's also, from what you've said and reading between the lines, it sounds like this was completely unexpected, and therefore it sounds like she wasn't unwell for a long period of time, and something happened very, very quickly, and it doesn't sound like to me that she suffered. And you mentioned that her eyes were open and her tongue was curled up, and her mouth was open. That is, whatever the cause of death, that's very much how it is. They don't have their eyes closed. They and so it. I don't think we can take anything from that. But it doesn't sound like she suffered. So yeah, I hope you can remember her, the good times with her, rather than the shock of seeing her like that. And I'm really sorry.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ian. That is obviously a really difficult one to have to discuss and obviously to try and answer, because obviously, we don't have loads of information there. But again, I can't reiterate enough. Thank you so much for reaching out, MD, because I really wouldn't want for you to be sitting and being upset. And, difficult questions are always something that comes up, and, it is one of those things. So that's fine. I hope that you're okay with that answer. So yeah, I'm sorry we couldn't give you more, but try to definitely see it from a positive point of view, because also, it does sound like it was certainly very quick, which is definitely a good thing. She has just said as well, she was an older cat, and in looking back, she showed signs of nearly passing. She had hypothyroidism. Thank you both for your response. So yeah, thank you so much for that, MD. And it does sound like you do have your answer, in that she did have some illness and some background stuff going on, but obviously it's just been a massive shock for you. And yeah, I hope that you can put some peace in your mind, because you do need to just be able to enjoy your good memories, and stay with that. Okay. Thank you so much, MD. And yeah, thank you for joining us from California. I hope your weather's a lot better than it is out here. It's a bit rubbish here at the moment. So anyway, we are going to find out some more about Ian, because this is, also really important. I'm loving hearing your stories, Ian, and I'm loving hearing about your sport as well. That's just so interesting. So what made you decide to be a vet?
I felt like I'd always wanted to be a vet, and I know it's incredibly cliched, but so many in the profession, or in and I'm sure it's exactly the same for many areas of work that people find themselves in. But it was just something I wanted to do, and I can remember having a conversation with my parents when I was relatively young, I think 12. They were sort of saying, well, what do you want to do? What subjects do you want to take at school? And I just said, well, I really want to be a vet, but I know it's difficult to get into vet school. And they just matter of fact said, you know what, you can do it. Go and do it. Be a vet. And I was like, okay, I can do it. I will be a vet. And that was the deciding moment. And from that point on, I was going to be a vet. And my parents had total belief in me and support, which I think is really helpful. Thanks, Mum and Dad.
There you go.
And so that was very helpful, and actually they were incredibly supportive, because I felt that the entry requirements to get into vet school involved me looking after every species of animal. Now, I that's probably completely, untrue. But we didn't live on the farm, but we had sheep in our garden. We had rats, and we had stick insects, and we had snakes and lizards and guinea pigs and rabbits and terrapins and goldfish, and just about every single animal that you could think of. And when I was running out of animals, I'd be, oh yeah, I'll get this one. I'll put this on my application form. and my parents, they were so tolerant of that, because these things, they would always escape. And they would just, the house, you'd hear running around in the space between the roof and the ceiling. There would be there would be rats running around, and it wasn't your standard brown sewer rats. It was rats that I had that had somehow escaped from my room. So they were incredibly supportive and incredibly tolerant, and I had hundreds of different species, and then when if they ever did pass, they had a post-mortem on the kitchen table, which seemed completely normal at that age.
No, I agree. And it's funny because I think we've all been through that same thing, and our parents, of anyone in the veterinary profession, has been through the same thing. In fact, parents, jump on here, tell us you've been through the same thing, because honestly, I mean, that's exactly what my world was like. Oh, Mum, look what I found. Oh, I've brought home another thing. Oh, it's a partridge. And then you find dead things. And you're so fascinated, and actually, in hindsight, I sort of think I was probably a bit gross, but I was that kid that would be like, "Oh, it's a squash something. What is that?"
Let's peel that apart. Yeah. So it was. So you're right. It was a vocation. It was from an early stage, and the most sensible. I was destined to be a vet because every dead animal got cut up and operated on. So.
I was passing through one of my friend's veterinary practices once, and I needed to use, well, actually my daughter needed to use the loo, and we were walking past the theatre. Obviously it was all shut off, and it's my friend's surgery, so she was like, yeah, it's fine, go through. And I picked my child up because I thought, this is amazing. Picked her up at the window and just showed her, and she went, ah! And I was like, oh, you don't like that? Oh, I thought that was really cool. And we had a discussion. It was absolutely fine. But wow, I did think that was a close call. I could have traumatized my child.
Well, my daughter was helping me with a case the other day, and she just went, "Oh, I feel a bit faint."
And you're like, "You're no child of mine."
Fainting, that's not allowed.
How funny! Oh my god. So what are the spit it out. What part of being a vet still grosses you out? There's got to be something. I love that question.
Oh, what is? I mean, I don't like bad smells. I mean, there's really bad smells, vomit, especially that vomit smell. So when you have to make a dog sick because it's eaten something, and if they've eaten a whole box of dairy milk chocolate, that's it's not too bad actually. But when
chocolate vomit's one of the worst.
No, compared to other dogs eat literally anything, and some of the it's indescribable what dogs will eat and vomit up, and that's the worst. And there's a gag reflex, which I assume is for a good reason, which stops you from eating whatever. No, I'm never going to eat that. But it's just, and you're supposed to be professional and sensible and caring, and you're like, oh, gross. So making dogs vomit is perhaps the worst thing.
So what I'm hearing, everyone, is if you want to get on the right side of Ian, what he would love to have as a practice gift is all the nice air freshener smells. Yeah. Anything that's particularly deodorizing, send Ian's way. The more powerful, the better. So that is totally fair enough. So one of the questions I do really like to ask my vets when I'm on here is, what do you love about physio?
Oh, that's a very good question, but obviously completely relevant and sensible question.
Exactly.
So physio. I mean, if you injure yourself as a before you as a person, as a human, you're doing physio before your operation, after your operation. On the day of the operation, it's relentless. But it makes such a difference, and it does make such a difference. And as a surgeon, you can only do so much. You can only do so much in the operating theatre, and the and what we're trying to do is get the maximum functionality and minimize pain, and get the best outcome and wellness and health, and these animals return to their full love of life. And the best way to do that is by having that ongoing care, because you can detect issues if things aren't going in the right way. And I love chatting to physios about the cases, and like, how's this going? Is it going all right? Should it be better? Do I need to change my technique? I often feel that you guys see all the different techniques for even knees, doing the cruise ship. There's like 3-4 commonly utilized methods, and you know which are the better ways and which are the better surgeons and what's good and what's not, and so it's a really useful way of having a great relationship and having getting to be not only to get the better outcome for the pet, but also to get better outcome for future pets.
Exactly.
and good. So I think it's really important, and you guys do such amazing work, and perhaps a bit more time to really go through each of the muscle groups and each of the the areas, and see things that definitely see things that we'll miss. So I think the collaboration is so important and really, really good.
Wonderful. I mean, exactly what I was going to say is thank you so much, Ian, because you've touched on the most important thing here. Teamwork is the dream work. And you've just said in all that ultimately you like working as a team with your physio. Yeah. And that is just amazing. So yes, because we love being teams with the vets as well. So yeah, that's amazing. So well done, you. So now I'm going straight back off topic because I still want to know more about you. And what I would like to know now is if you could have Facebook Live like this with anybody dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh, that's well, as you know, for my holiday, I want to do everything. So I couldn't choose just one person, but at the minute, I've recently suffered from insomnia, which is terribly debilitating and awful. And you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, oh, okay, I've got to go and do all these things, and your head's spinning. And it's taken me a long time, but I found out how to fix my insomnia, and I put in my headphones so I don't disturb my wife, and she's usually kicking me by this stage and punching me in the face. And so I put on my headphones, I put on a podcast or a little YouTube video and just listen. And the thing that works more than anything else is theoretical physics, especially if you're talking about how
is that even possible? My husband does physics, and I'm like, biology and physics, we literally try to have conversations. It doesn't work. He's going into my biology zone now because he's recognizing biology's better.
I don't know, after years of biology, I'm certainly it puts me to sleep. So I put on these.
Okay, that's a good point. It's rubbish. It put you to sleep.
Well, I don't know if it's rubbish, but it's immensely complex. When you're talking about the space and time, or the structure of a muon inside an atom, and the weird realities of quantum mechanics and multiple dimensions or string theory or stuff like this, and you can't visualize it. You physically can't. It's really difficult. It's very mathematical, and you can't visualize it, and it's really quite boring. And I'm instantly.
I know we've lost 9 viewers from you just saying that. I'm joking. I'm just saying.
But it's also incredibly. I do struggle with it. I'm fascinated, and I struggle with it on the mentally as well. So I would love to chat to Albert Einstein and actually go to the source of this itself and ask if he could actually explain this for me, and in a way that I could understand and stay awake.
That is amazing. What a great one. Nobody's ever said Albert Einstein before, but of course, that is a really, really good answer. I mean, yeah, he would be an amazing person to meet for anybody, wouldn't he? And I feel like somebody who can come up with that many ideas in one lifetime probably can explain it all pretty quick. So therefore, we wouldn't fall asleep while listening. Does that sound about right?
I think so. I think it would just be. I think it would just be. You know. He's and somebody who's utterly visionary and pushes forward his field, you know, the frontier of knowledge so far in their field, and you know, it'd be amazing to meet people like that.
For sure.
They're pretty rare characters.
Definitely. I mean, I'm also going to say though, I feel like I need to be your mum and tell you off, because like that literally does not sound like something you should be going to sleep to. I feel
no. I'm not sleeping. Going to sleep to. It's when I wake up, and it puts me straight back to sleep, and it's joyful, and I'm now sleeping so much better. And
good.
you know, I'm a much happier, nicer person.
Well, that is good. Well done for finding your solution. You do sound like you've just got a busy mind, busy head, busy mind. You need to go more Buddhist.
I think more meditation.
Exactly. I can say it all I like. I'm not very good at it either.
Yeah,
but no, that's
good.
Amazing. And so talking of your sleep, I feel like you're never going to answer this one, but what is your weirdest dream you've ever had?
I don't remember my dreams, which is probably a good thing, because as soon as people start talking about their dreams, you will lose about 20 viewers right now if I start.
It depends on what they are.
Utterly embracing to yourself, and everyone's like, you know, whatever. I suppose if you're a Freudian psychologist and you're you know, trying to get and understand people's dreams, the most arresting dream was when I was young and I got shot in the head by a like a water gun. It looked like a water pistol, like a green water pistol, but it had a bullet, and it shot me in the head. And that was the weirdest, you know, most horrible dream that I had, and I don't want many more of those.
No, I can see why not.
I can, and yeah, but the fun ones are when you're sort of swimming, floating around in the world, and I like those, especially if you know you're swimming and floating around at that point, and then you can say, oh, let's go on a little trip and let's see where we can go, and that can be quite fun.
That does sound very cool. That sounds a bit like out of body experience, but Indian. Like, I'm sure that's what Indians used to do. Like,
yeah, I think if you meditate enough, you can probably achieve that just by.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. That sounds very cool. It sounds like your brain's trying to meditate, even if you don't think you are. That's amazing. That is very cool. Not remembering your dreams sucks. I think that I mean, I couldn't imagine that. I feel like my night's as busy as my day, to be perfectly honest.
Well, I had this great dream. I can't remember the absolute detail, but I can remember it was a dream of two parts, and I had the first part of the dream one night and the second part a second night, and I was like, this is great, the story continues.
That's
but
so organized.
No, it's just brilliant. It's like a Netflix miniseries in the making.
Wow, that's quite impressive. I'm very impressed. That's absolutely amazing. So if money was no object, what would your dream achievement be? I feel like you're doing it now, but let's go a bit more mad than owning your own next practice.
Yeah, I'm really happy doing what I'm doing. What I'm doing, I think, is what makes me happy. And
you don't want to own a boat. You own a boat, don't you?
No, I don't. I think apparently the happiest day of your life is when you buy a boat and when you sell a boat. I think it's you know, I think it's definitely something to rent. But it's, you know, genuinely you know, the important things are family, friends, you know, your colleagues at work, the good you do in society, and very often that's not a you know, money can't buy that sort of thing. But that's so important.
No, that's amazing. That's so lovely. And it just takes you back full circle to what you're saying the whole time throughout this interview, is that, you know, happiness and treating people well is ultimately your ultimate goal. And, you know,
and skiing. Don't forget the skiing.
I'm not forgetting the skiing. No, we've got to work on this, haven't we? I'm not entirely sure how to help you on that. But yeah, no, it's just really nice to see, because, you know, it's very genuine when it can keep coming up, you know, regardless of what you ask. You know, when you're chatting for this long and it keeps coming up, it makes it very, very genuine, which I think is just such an important thing, you know. So yeah, that's absolutely amazing.
Well, thank you for that, Donna. Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
think you're a lovely person, and you bring out the best in people. So
thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I haven't asked though, have you got any pets? Because I feel bad if I don't ask about people's pets.
We did have pets. My sister has my tortoises. She's got a much bigger garden. We live in London, and we've got a small garden, and they just walked around, and it looked a little sad. And apparently tortoises in the wild, they go for huge distances, and when the weather gets up and they're warm, they will just dump around the garden for miles in a circle, and that it felt wrong. So my sister's got a bigger garden. She lives out in Surrey, and she's got much more space, and they're happier, definitely happier out there. We don't have any pets, unfortunately, because there's allergies in the family, and it's with great sadness. But we did have some, you know, great animals, and you know, we miss them hugely. I mean, we could have put my son up for adoption instead of the cat, but
it's a big choice. It's a hard decision.
It was. The services couldn't find a home for my son, so it was the cat. So
it's fair enough. Although I must admit, I'm impressed that he's not allergic to your clothes or something. But like, I must admit, even I'm allergic to cats now, which entering into the profession, no allergies to animals whatsoever. Now I'm completely allergic to cats, rabbits, about 50% of cats, and the odd dog. And I'm like, damn it, I'm still going to work with you though.
I've developed a cat allergy, which only some cats though.
Yeah, give it time. It's weird. It is weird how it comes, isn't it? And it's just mean. And I just think, fine, you're just being mean. I say it to anyone who listen. Just being mean.
It's such a shame because you know, I genuinely love cats, and I look at them and I go, "You're going to make me really itchy." And you look at me and go,
That's probably exactly what it will be. So, last question: what is the most spontaneous thing you've ever done?
I agree to come on a podcast. Yay! I don't think I'm particularly spontaneous. I don't. There doesn't feel to be much spontaneity, unless it's like, shall we go to that bar? And I'm like, yeah, that's. But
hey, baby steps, right?
Baby steps. So I need to work on my spontaneity. I need to show perhaps more spontaneous romance to my wife. When I was courting, I would buy her a bunch of flowers every week, every 2 weeks, every 2 days. It was I can walk past the florist without buying her flowers, and maybe I should get that spontaneity back.
For sure, definitely. That sounds absolutely amazing. What an amazing! I feel we've set you goals here today.
I know. I'm writing them down. They're timed. They're specific.
That's an amazing goal, though, isn't it? Like, you know, to be more spontaneous for your wife. That's an amazing goal. Yeah, I'm mostly just jealous. So I'll make sure the husband watches this later. It's fine.
Okay. I'm in trouble now. Sorry.
Not at all. He'll probably call you up to talk about the physics, though, as well. You know.
Oh yeah, I'll be asleep, but you know, I'd love to chat about the physics.
That's fair enough. Oh, it's been absolutely lovely talking to you. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who has watched. We've had some lovely watchers, lovely likes, lovely comments. Thank you so much. And MD, if you're still watching, thank you so much for watching as well. I'll message you after this. And yeah, Ian, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you kicking off this show. And it's been wonderful to learn about you. As I've said, I'm absolutely thrilled. I'm always thrilled to hear from lovely vets who are so caring and have just such a big heart. And you know, now your spontaneity is going to continue with your wife. So, you know, that's absolutely fantastic. You can keep rowing strong in your goals. So, yeah, it's lovely to have you.
Thank you, Donna. It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you. And yeah, have a good evening. Okay.
Oh,
bye-bye.
and Wagabonds has just said, lovely interview. Thank you so much. Goodbye. So,
okay.
bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.